So as we mark the third anniversary then of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, we're going to talk now in perspective about the effect of all of the war on the country's children. In May of last year, UNICEF released a report that said that nearly 2,000 children had been killed or injured in the war, a high number, of course, that's nowhere near the number if you were to count children who have, for example, lost family members or friends. Joining us now live from Kyiv is Mykola Kuleba. He's founder of Save Ukraine, also former President Commissioner for Children's Rights. Thanks very much for joining us on the programme. First of all, just give us your thoughts generally, can you, on this third anniversary of the invasion?
You know that this war, it is almost more than 10 years. And since beginning of war from 2014, we have now 751 children who've been killed and more than 1,900 injured. It's official statistics, but for example, how many of these kids have been killed in Mariupol or any other occupied territories, we don't know. And more than 1.6 million of Ukrainian children stays in occupied territories and in Russia, until the world is waiting their turn by Russian propaganda and military machine into Russians and Russian soldiers too. And now in occupied territories, we have thousands young adults who 10 years ago have been Ukrainian school children in Crimea and Donbass. It's a terrorism. It is war crime what Russia is doing with Ukrainian children.
Tell us, even before the last 3 years, what your role has been, because you set up this charity, didn't you, to try and bring Ukrainian children or get them out of areas where it was incredibly difficult for them in Russian-occupied areas, notably, I assume, Crimea.
Yeah, we provided evacuation from combat zones, and only for the last 3 years, we evacuated more than 110,000 children and women from hotspots. It is very hard stories. And before full-scale invasion, we provided evacuations from Donbass and Crimea. And it was thousands of children who've been reunited with their families and who've been taken away from the danger.
And what does it mean for children? I mean, obviously, as I mentioned in that top introduction there are those children, for a start, who've either lost friends or perhaps have lost one or both of their parents.
Oh, it's their trauma is very hard. I remember one kid, he's 9 years old. He lived 9 months under the huge challenge near Donetsk airport. And I remember how I came to that boy. Hearing a sound of weapon, he could say a name of this weapon. And after being rescued with his mom, he had treatment in psychiatric hospital, and his condition of health is bad now. And it's thousands of children. It's who experience massive deportation, who experience massive shelling, who lived on the basements of buildings for months, sometimes it's years. Especially in occupied territories, we have thousands of children whose parents cannot allow them to go out the house because they're really afraid of deportation.
And how much can you actually do to help them realistically?
Oh, really, it's a huge problem just to extract the child from occupied territories. And we, Save Ukraine, we is the largest organization who rescuing them, and we could extract only 600 children from the thousands who was forcibly deported. And we provide recovery programs in our Hope and Healing Center, in modular houses, after reunification with their families, or for orphans, we have separate programs. And we, after rehabilitation, we are finding loving families for these orphans. But you have to understand, we under the constant shelling, and this war is continuing.
Do you have any hopes at all? I mean, do you have any hope? I mean, at the moment we have potentially anyway some kind of peace plan being put forward by Donald Trump. I mean, does that give you any hope, or is it actually the complete opposite?
Oh, we always have hope. We are very resilient now. Um, but the efforts of any international partners working towards peace in Europe must include a clear provision for the unconditional return of Ukrainian children to their homeland. Children cannot be objects of trade. Even discussing the possibility of returning children to Ukraine is exchange for economical consequences is both dangerous and acceptable. Children must not be treated as objects or commodities. This is something all nations participating in peace negotiation must fully understand. And we want return all our children back. And we hope and we believe that our allies will help us to do this.
Good to talk to you on the programme today. Thanks very much for being with us, Mykola Kuleba, founder of Save Ukraine.
Thank you.
And former President Commissioner for Children's Rights, joining us there live from Kyiv.